Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais awareness through movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. I have 2 new online series offerings for the fall. A Feldenkrais series titled Coming to Your Senses, an exploration of the spaces of the eyes, the mouth, jaw, ears, vocal and breathing apparatus. And my second course, Wakeful Body, the blending of yoga and Feldenkrais on Monday nights. As one student recently described Monday nights, that felt like I just gave myself a massage. So these fall classes will be a continuation of some fan favorite stretching sequences that incorporate bolsters and other props to enhance the poses. There is still plenty of time to join these courses live or via the course recordings. You can find more information about these offerings in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hello and welcome to the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. This podcast is an intersection of my yoga teaching and my training in the Feldenkrais method. Today's class is a live 75-minute level 1 yoga class. So grab all of your props and get ready for some focus on the back of the body, an area we often don't pay too much attention to. Okay, we're going to get into class right away. Enjoy. All right, welcome everyone. Could you find a book or maybe either a really large book or a few books? It's going to be for our final breathing Shavasana time, and you're just going to use it like a weight. So if you happen to have a sandbag, then you don't need to find a book, but I'm just thinking of something that has some weight to it that's easy to find in your house. And again, it might be a couple of books. I've got a very large biography of Feldenkrais' life, volume 1 here, which I have not gotten all the way through. So grabbing a few books, putting them way off to the side so they're not in your way right now. And then grab your strap and make sure it has a loop in it. It can be somewhat large for right now. Great. Yeah. And then you can come on down to your mat if you're not there already. Great. Once you have that loop, you can set the strap aside and grab your blanket. First thing we'll do with the blanket is use it in a roll. So roll it up, single blanket roll. Okay, then both of those things you can set aside just to the side of your mat and come onto your back. Let's stand to the feet with the knees bent. And bring your arms up towards the ceiling And do a little reach of one arm and then the other arm just lightly towards the ceiling so that it creates a little bit of a rocking across the back, just to gently mobilize the scapula. You might even turn your head a little bit from one side to the other. So reaching one arm and the other. And then from there, let one arm cross in front of the other so that one entire arm is closer to the head and the other arm is closer to the pelvis. And just let the arm drape crossed on top of the chest, hands kind of flopped, very relaxed towards the floor. And let the eyes close. Start to turn attention to sensations of your face, the eyes, the lips, feeling the tongue just as sensation. And as the air comes in through the nostrils, noticing the expanding chest and the gentle lift of the arms. So your arms are just riding the wave of the breath. And as you exhale, feeling how the chest gently sinks, the arms drop with it. Listening for a smooth, steady inhale, a smooth, steady exhale. Good. Slowly uncross the arms and roll all the way over to your right side. Keeping your knees together so your legs can be stacked, knees up about hip height. Reach your right arm straight out in front of you and stack your left palm onto your right palm. Good. From here, reach the left hand beyond the right hand so that your right hand can take a hold of your left wrist or somewhere on your left forearm. With that reach of the left arm, the chest, the sternum, allow it to turn towards the floor. Maybe even the face is turned a little bit towards the floor. And then keeping the left arm reaching, you'll stand your left foot to the floor, and it's basically in the same position it was a moment ago, so that your left toes are pointing towards the short edge of the mat, and your left knee is pointed towards the ceiling. That's right. And get a good purchase of your left foot on the floor. And this new position of the left leg is inviting the pelvis to start to turn a little bit to the left in opposition of the left arm reaching. And you can even start to let your left knee tip a little bit to the left. You might come onto more of the outside edge of your left foot. So you're really feeling the weight of your left knee beginning to go to the left to encourage the pelvis to turn to the left. Keeping the legs and the arms, they're moving in opposition. Then pick up the weight of the head and bring the chin in towards the chest as if you want to tuck your head between your two arms and allow the upper back to round, Think of bringing your forehead towards your pubic bone. Finding this width across the upper back, letting your sternum sink a little bit back into you. Good. And then let the head relax back to the floor. Release your right hand from your wrist and drape or roll yourself, drip yourself back onto your back. Standing both feet, knees point towards the ceiling, arms just resting alongside the body. Let the eyes close and pause for a moment and just sense your two sides. Feel how the left side of you meets the floor, the left scapula, and compare that to the right side. Great. And then roll to your left side. Stack the legs. Bring your left arm straight out in front of you. Stack your right palm onto your left palm. Let your right palm reach beyond your left palm so that the right palm feels the floor. And that reaching of the arm creates a width of your scapula. The sternum turns a little towards the floor, and the face can even turn a little towards the floor. And that arm keeps reaching. And I would like you to imagine that the root of your arm moves way back and down into more of the middle part of your spine so that the arm does not end or begin at the shoulder joint. And as you keep reaching the right arm, the left hand can then hold the right wrist or forearm. Getting a sense of the shape that this creates in your upper back. And keep the right arm there. Stand your right foot. So the right toes will point towards the short edge of your mat. Your right knee is pointed towards the ceiling. And as you're here, you can even use your exhale. Think of your lower belly moving to the right, spinning to the right, or trying to anchor the back of your right hip deeper into the floor. And the right knee can tilt a little to the right, emphasizing the weight of the right leg, taking the pelvis to the right. And then lift the weight of the head. Bring the face between the two upper arm bones as if your forehead wants to come towards your pubic bone, and allow your sternum to sink back, to really move back towards your spine. Good. And then release the right wrist, bring the head back to the floor, and bring yourself back onto your back. Again, just take a moment with your feet standing, feel the way that the back of you meets the floor. Perhaps the back in general has just spread a little bit more. Maybe you feel a bit more flat, or something has let go. And bring your right knee towards your chest. Take a hold at the top of the shin with your right hand, and your left hand will come behind your head. On your exhalation, lift the head with the support of the hand, flexing the spine here, bringing forehead towards pubic bone, and continuing to hug the right knee in. Good. And then inhale, let that release. Bring your right foot to the floor. Your right hand will come behind the head. Your left hand holds the top of the left shin. And on exhalation, lift the head with the right hand. Keep the head lifted. Keep breathing while you're there in that flexion. Good. And inhale, slowly lower that down. All right, grab that strap you have with a loop. And take your right leg up towards the ceiling. You're going to put the loop right across the ball of the foot. You want to be able to have access to the tail end of the strap so that you could pull on it, or you could hold the plastic or metal piece and kind of loosen, make the loop bigger. So you've got that access. We're going to put the strap behind the head. We did this a few weeks ago. So take the strap behind the head, basically from ear to ear. And I think sort of the top of the ear, across the back of the head, so that the strap is like a hammock for the head. Now, we want the head to be off of the floor. I would say, from what I can sense, for me, it's maybe 3 inches or so off the floor. So you can have this sense of a slight flexion in the neck, meaning the chin will feel like it's a little bit towards the chest and the front of the neck is flexed, but because the head is supported, should feel like those muscles in the front of the neck can really relax. Yeah, good. So for those of you that have a really straight leg, I'm going to have you shorten the loop of the strap so that your right knee actually needs to bend and your right thigh comes a little closer to your chest. Yeah, and you can play with how much that is. You could bring your right thigh super close to your chest, making the loop a little bit shorter. Some of that will depend on the comfort in the front right hip crease. Once you have that set up, just let your arms come. They could be straight out to the side for some width, or more down alongside the body, but the arms, the backs of the shoulders are just heavy. And then lengthen your left leg long onto the floor. Now, right now, don't worry too much about efforting with your right leg, but do press the left thigh bone back into the floor. And with each exhalation, the diaphragm domes upward and it creates space for your belly organs to sink back towards the spine. So every exhalation, feel that movement, the belly organs descending towards your spine. And maybe even you can sense the weight of your head as you exhale. The more you release the muscles in the front of the neck while you're here, the heavier the head will feel, the more you'll get the sense of the actual weight of the head dropping back into the strap. And now just begin to engage your right foot a little bit towards the strap. And maybe there's already some amount of that in order to keep the strap taut. But do it with a little bit more consciously now, pushing the ball of the right foot into the strap. And it's affirming to your head. Your head goes, oh, there really is support there. So let that push of the foot into the strap be this extra support, some kind of comfort for your head, reminding the neck, the shoulders that they can release back. Good. Keep pushing that right foot into the strap. Bend your left knee. Bring your left knee towards your chest and see if you can put the left foot into the loop. You could use your hands to kind of steady the strap. Release that right foot from the strap. Stand the right foot. Do any little adjusting you may need to. Now, remember, this strap it's short enough. The loop is small enough that your left knee will need to be bent. That's how we're working this pose right now. Softening in the left hip crease as it deeply folds, and then lengthen that right leg long. And flex the right foot. Let the arms come back to meet the floor. Good. Begin to root the right thigh back into the floor. Where you have the somatic memory in the front of the right hip crease, where it was folded so deeply, now begin to expand as if you could move your breath movement all the way down there into the front of the right hip. And with each exhalation, feel the belly organs sinking towards the back of the body. With each exhalation, feel the weight of the head dropping back into the hammock. You may open your mouth slightly. Again, sense your tongue soft, the brow, the forehead. And then consciously begin to push your left foot into the strap, a little bit more vigor. Reaffirming that there's support behind your head, that the muscles in the front of the neck can melt, become a little bit more easy. Good. All right. Bring your hands to the strap. Lift your head. Bring your head back to the floor. And bring both feet down to the floor. Keep the strap in your hands. You'll tighten the loop so that the loop is about hips width. That loop is going to go around your thighs. So you'll need to pick up your feet again, put the loop over both feet so that it's around both legs. Then stand your feet again. So have the loop be around the thighs, probably closer to the knees will make more sense for this. So that when you stand your feet around hips distance and then you press out into the strap stays taut and your feet and your knees are tracking with each other. Yeah, good. Then bring the arms down alongside the body and snug them a little closer into the body, the palms facing down. Press the legs out into the strap so that the strap stays taut. And begin to lift your pelvis. And as you lift your pelvis, move your knees over the toes while they also press wide into the strap. And that push out into the strap will start to engage the outer hips a little bit. At the same time, firm the buttocks to lift the sacrum. Feeling the backs of the shoulders rooting down. Good. Keep pressing out into the strap. Feel the highest point in your spine that's lifted. And place that highest vertebra back into the floor, but do it and actually press it into the floor. And then walk your attention down, one more vertebra, bring that into the floor, imprint it, press it into the floor. And doing that all the way down the spine, but really slowly. And you maintain that pressure out into the strap with your legs. It will get a little less clear for most of us as we get into the lower part of the back, from lumbar to sacrum. That transition can be a little harder to push into the floor. So go slowly there. Invite the lower belly muscles to engage. Yeah, and once the pelvis is on the floor, you can let go of that push out into the strap, but we're going to keep the strap there. Okay, so keeping those arms pretty close to the body, bend your elbows for the robot arm position, fingertips point towards the ceiling. Press your elbows and the backs of the shoulders into the floor. So you have those 4 points as well as the back of your head and of course your feet. Now push the legs out into the strap, keep it taut, and start to lift your pelvis. Feel your 2 thigh bones lengthen over your toes. And keep pressing the elbows and the shoulders down. If you get up a little bit higher, you may do a little rearranging. Maybe the scapula can come a little closer towards the spine. But see if this arm position allows you to peel the upper vertebra off the floor a little bit higher up. Good. And seeing if there's any kind of suctioning or clenching in the mouth, the teeth, see if you can release that. Maintain the push of the legs out into the strap. And again, that highest point that's off the floor, highest vertebra, push that single vertebra into the floor. So you'll feel the chest has to soften, the sternum sinks back to do that. And then walk your attention down one more, in the same way that we lowered down before. But it's not just an articulation. You're actually thinking of pushing that one vertebra into the floor. And then the next, and then the next. So far down your back until the pelvis comes to the floor. Great. All right. Once the pelvis is there, then you can remove the strap from around the legs. Put that strap out of the way, roll to the side. You're going to grab that rolled up blanket. Got one more thing here on our back. Okay, so the blanket will go across the upper back. Then we're going to put the hands behind the head. So familiar position. If it's hard for you to have that, feel that full support, if that's too deep of a back bend, then just unroll your blanket a little bit. Make the part that's underneath your back not quite as big. So cross the back, lower part of the scapula, and then again, interlace fingers behind the head. Okay, elbows are wide. We've done a little bit of armpit attention the last few weeks. So if you can think about your armpits here, as your elbows press back towards the floor, also move your armpits back towards the floor. Open the mouth a little bit again. And when I say open the mouth, see if you can keep breathing in and out through the nose, but that's just a cue or a signal for you to soften the jaw. And feel where the back of the head is resting in the hands. Now, lift the weight of the head just a little bit and turn your head to the right so that your right ear rests, it might rest on your right palm or where the fingers are interlaced. And if that's a lot, that's a pretty deep turn in the neck. So if that feels not possible today, then you're approximating that, turning the head whatever amount. Maybe some space between the back of the head and the right ear is the part that's in your hands. And let the head drop back into the hands with this turn, this bias to the right. Feeling the stretch from the bottom of your left ear down the left side of your neck. If the left elbow started to lift towards the ceiling, can you root it back, root the left armpit back? And then you can do this with your eyes open or closed, but And it might actually be easy to understand if you open your eyes. Think of looking behind your right shoulder. And of course, it's just the floor that's there, but move your eyes to see behind your right shoulder and just notice what that does. It might intensify the stretch. It might turn on some new muscles. It might allow you to turn your head a little bit farther. Okay, you'll keep your head turned to the right. And now with the support of the hands, lift your head as if you want to direct your left ear and your pubic bone towards each other, flexing the spine. That's right. Yep, the head is still turned to the right. And then slowly lower the head back down. Turn your head to neutral so the back of the head is in the hands. The nose points towards the ceiling. Just pause for a moment. Feel the two sides. Let the inhale breath be wide across the chest to the armpits. And then unweight the head gently. Turn the head to the left. The left ear comes to rest in your left palm or both hands. Some approximation of that. So you find a place where you can turn your head to the left and then you can just let the weight of the head really drop. The right elbow is heavy and activating that right armpit back if you can. Now open the eyes and with your eyes begin to look behind your left shoulder, just to the floor there. Like really see what color your mat is. And there's likely some space between the mat and your left shoulder. Just using the eyes, feeling how that might direct your head, where your head is going. Good. And then you can let go of that action with the eyes. Just let the eyes relax. And on your exhalation, wait for it. Lift your head. Direct your right ear and your pubic bone towards each other. Good. And inhale slowly. Let the head come back towards the floor, back of the hands towards the floor, and then turn your head back to neutral. Point your elbows towards the ceiling. Lift your head with the hands. Roll to either side. Come off of that blanket. Okay. Take this blanket. We're going to do a few seated poses, and I think everybody will benefit from having a little bit of a lift underneath their pelvis. So you can unroll the blanket, fold it in half a couple of times, just so you have a nice platform for your pelvis. And then you may also want your strap. I'll show some things with a strap. So once you have that, you can just come to sit with your legs long in Dandasana. Great. So separate the legs just a little bit and then flex the ankles and press the backs of your legs towards the floor. So backs of the thighs probably aren't going to touch the floor, but you're thinking about the thigh bones rooting down, calves pressing a little bit into the floor. And then bend your left leg, bring the sole of your left foot to touch the inner right thigh. Okay, we'll take that strap, the loop should work just fine, across the ball of the right foot. And reach for the strap with your left hand. So we're working first with a tall vertical spine. And so then when you reach with your left arm, have your left arm straight, and then wherever that strap is, hold there with your hand so that the spine can stay vertical. Pressing the ball of the right foot into the strap. And from here, begin to turn to the right Now, the right hand might be able to take a hold of the blanket. If you could bend your right elbow, kind of grab onto some part of that blanket so that the right arm can be this powerful tool to help turn the upper ribs to the right. Your right leg is still pressing really firmly into the floor. Yeah, good. And as you move your right shoulder back, the right scapula comes towards the spine. And maintain that action of that right scapula coming towards the spine, but now turn your head to the left. So maybe you see your foot, maybe your head even goes and turns over the left shoulder. And you could think as though your eyes want to see behind your left shoulder. And remember that right collarbone stays wide, that right scapula moves back. Good. Okay, keep your strap in your hand. Release your right hand from your blanket or wherever your right hand is so that your torso, your face comes forward. You see that long leg. You're going to keep a hold of that strap with your left hand, but walk your hand down towards your foot a little bit. Some of you might not need the strap eventually. And maybe we're all holding the strap a little bit differently. I have the strap so that if I opened my palm would face the ceiling. Yeah, I think most of us have it that way. Then bring your right hand to the floor alongside your right leg. We're going to start to come forward over the straight leg. And as you do that, your left elbow might be able to bend a little bit. That's right. And think about pointing the pit of the elbow towards the ceiling as you start to come forward. That's right. The deeper some of you get into this pose, your left elbow might be able to go onto the outside of your right leg. Yeah. So that means that our shoulder girdle is turning to the right, just like it was a moment ago in the last pose. That's it. Coming forward, rooting the right leg back into the floor, but keep taking the crown of the head towards that foot. Good. Great. And slowly come up. Set the strap out of the way. Stand your left foot, cross your left foot to the other side of your right leg. Interlace the fingers around the left knee. Draw the knee towards you and take the sternum a little bit towards the knee. Let the shoulder blades drop down. Imagine that your neck begins between your shoulder blades and it's lengthening up. Great. All right. Now, this leg that's crossed over, just slide it down so that your left ankle is over your right ankle. And then from there, cross your legs or bend your knees so you're in cross-leg position. And turn your head to the left. Bring your right hand behind. It will mostly be your left ear, or maybe some of you can even feel some of your left cheek. That's right. Your left hand can just be on the floor or even on your left knee or leg. And now press your left ear, your left cheek a little bit back into your right hand. And with your eyes, so you're going into a little bit of a back bend. You can think of taking the sternum forward. And with your eyes, peek behind your left shoulder. That a similar stretch into the right side of the neck that we felt over the bolster may occur. The jaw is easy. Yeah, if it's a lot, you might come in and out of it. You might press the ear a little bit into the hand, come into that slight back bend in the chest, and then release it. Great. All right. Slowly let that go. Bring your right arm down. Take both legs forward again. Come back to Dandasana. Keep your left leg straight. Bring your right foot to the inner thigh. And then grab that strap, put it around the ball of the foot. So spine stays vertical. Then reach your right arm forward. So once your right elbow is straight, this kind of tells you where you'll hold the strap with your hand. Good. Keeping the spine tall, twisting to the left, bringing your left hand back. Hand might find that blanket or fingertips to the floor, but if you can grab something with your hand, moving the left elbow back, the left armpit back, and actively left scapula comes towards the spine. And all of that is to catch the rib cage, to catch the upper ribs. Invite them to turn to the left. Good. Imagine that the neck begins right between the shoulder blades and the spine is growing right from there. Keeping the shoulder girdle turning to the left, turn the head to the right. Maybe looking over the right shoulder. Yes, the sternum is very exalted here. It's lifted. Good. Keep a hold of the strap, untwist the shoulders. Now, you can just hold the strap with your left hand for a moment, walk your right hand down the strap a little bit. If you were to open the fingers, the palm would be facing up, and then bring your left hand back to the floor, right alongside your leg. Begin to tip forward at the hips. Your left leg keeps rooting straight back into the floor. The deeper you come forward at the hips, the more you can bend the right elbow. And so this right arm is sort of rotating outward so that the pit of the elbow faces the ceiling. And then if you're far enough forward and you start to get into that twist, then maybe the right elbow starts to come to the outside of the shin. That's right. So if there's a little turn in the belly, you can think about that soft part of the waist turning to the left here, the two sitting bones. See if you can sense somewhat equal weight on them, even though the position of the legs are asymmetric. You have even weight on the sitting bones. And then softening the waist, feeling the belly, turning to the left. Good. Yeah, thanks, Mary Kay. Great. And slowly let that release. Then taking the right foot, cross it to the other side of the left leg. Take a hold of the knee. And draw the knee and the sternum a little towards each other. Great. Okay. Let that release and take your legs along again so that you're back into that Dandasana shape. You can have a little bit of space between the legs. Now bring your fingertips back behind you. And you can stay on fingertips or come to palms. So the fingers will be pointed away from you. Keep rooting the legs down. Draw your upper arm bones towards each other and start to take the chest forward. Maybe the head begins to move back a little bit. That's right. Yeah, pushing into the floor with the hands, with fingertips or with palms. Good. Exhale, release. Now take the soles of the feet together, Baddha Konasana, and really compare the difference in the legs of what kind of a difference it makes in the back bend. So same position with the arms, bring the hands back, fingertips or palms to the floor. You can have just a little bend of your elbows. Draw the elbows and the upper arm bones towards each other. Begin to take the sternum forward. Soften the throat. Feel the upper palate move back and the head start to drop back. Great. Exhale, gently let that release. All right, swing your legs around. Let's come to our hands and our knees. Once you're on hands and knees, then come down to your forearms. You'll keep your elbows about as wide as the shoulders, but interlace your fingers. From there, keep your forearms where they're at. Walk your knees back a couple of inches. And then begin to move the pelvis back. So it's like a dog in prayer with your forearms on the floor. And this does require that the arms, feel how they're pretty close to the head. They might even be kind of squeezing the sides of the head a little bit. So it requires the arms to be able to get that close to the head. So it may be that you don't move your pelvis back as far because of this different angle in the arms. See if you can give a firm push of the forearms into the floor. Good. Exhale, slowly shift forward, walk your knees forward, and then bring your hands back to the floor. With hands right underneath shoulders, exhale, round into a cat spine. And inhale, arch into cow spine. And as you move into cow spine, turn your head to the right with your eyes, look over your right shoulder as if you want to see your right sitting bone. Great. And then exhale, round, cat spine again. Chin comes right into the middle towards the chest. Tail curls down. And on your inhale, as you arch the back, turn your head to the left. With your eyes, look over your left shoulder. Try to see your left sitting bone. And exhale, round and bring the face back to the middle. Point the nose and the pubic bone towards each other. Good. And then inhale, come to neutral spine, turn the toes under and press back towards down dog. Good. Feel all the finger pads rooting down, the thumb mound, the pad of the thumb, and then that part where the thumb and the index finger meet, there's a bit more of meaty flesh right there. Keep that rooting down. Good. Slowly walk your hands back to your feet. Let the head hang for a moment. Feel the full length of the neck. And dropping of the head. And inhale, come up to a flat back. Exhale and fold forward. And again, inhale, lengthen to a flat back. Good. Exhale and fold. And this next time as you inhale, come all the way up, sweep the arms wide. And bring the palms together. And exhale the hands down. All right, come on up to the top of the mat, grab your 2 blocks. And take those blocks to the floor, maybe on their medium height, kind of either side of the feet. Okay, then bring the feet together into Tadasana. Hands can come to the pelvis. And step your right foot back so that the right heel can ground. So the right toes might turn out a little bit. So Each foot has its own track. Your feet are about hips width still. Yeah, great. So you feel that back heel grounded. But because that back heel is grounded and the toes are turned out a little bit, it means that the pelvis probably rotated to the right. So as much as you can you rotate the front of the pelvis, the belly forward towards the front of the mat? And then from there, begin to tip forward, creasing at the hips. Keep your left big toe mound rooting down. And then bring the hands down to those blocks. Good. Let's maintain length through the spine right now. So as you push the left foot down, anchor the outer left hip crease back. And feel the front of the spine, from pubic bone, all the way up the front of the throat. Feel that line lengthen. Then the right hand and its block, bring it a little bit closer to the left big toe. Put a little bit more weight into that right hand and its block so that your left hand can come to the hip crease, the left hip crease. And keep anchoring that left hip back. Push into the block with the right hand. And let your chest, keep your eyes and your nose pointed at the floor. So your eyes and your nose are really interested in this left foot and right hand. But turn your chest to the left as if you could stack your left shoulder over your right shoulder. Good. And the movement of the left scapula towards the spine, it catches those top ribs, and the top ribs start to spin or turn to the left. Good. And then release your left hand back to the block. Widen your right hand and the right block. Bring your hands to your hips. Keep the legs strong. Push the feet into the floor. Bring the torso back up to vertical. Bend the front knee, pick up the back heel, step the right foot forward, find Tadasana for a moment, and then step the left foot back. Once you step that left foot back, the heel will ground, so turn the left toes out whatever amount you need to, straighten both legs, and then try to square the front of the pelvis, the front of the belly towards that short end or front of the mat. From there, tip forward, crease at the hips, bring fingertips or fists, whatever you want, onto those blocks. But try not to actually put too much weight into your hands. Can you feel the legs take your weight? A nice way to kind of test that is just to bring your hands to your pelvis for a moment. And that really loads the legs, loads the hamstrings here in this lengthened position. So feel how your feet have to root down. Yeah, if your hands are on your hips, you can bring them back to your blocks. But it's just a reminder that, obviously I love using props. And sometimes it's like, well, why are the props there? Do I put my weight into them, or what am I actually doing there? So feel like you don't actually need much weight in your hands. Okay, then with your left hand and its block, move it a little bit closer to the big toe side, to that right big toe. And then right hand, thumb comes to right hip crease, anchor the right hip back. Keep your face, your nose, and your eyes looking down as you turn your chest to the right. And your right elbow can even move back to help pull your right scapula back. And this isn't a huge movement, but any little bit of movement in the ribs can be really profound. If you find a 0.5 millimeter of new movement in the ribs, can have a profound effect. Good. Exhale, bring that right hand back to the block. Widen the left hand and the left block. Now, firm the legs. Bring your hands to your hips and push into the floor with the feet to bring the torso to vertical. Then bend the right knee. Step the left foot forward. Coming to Tadasana. Take a breath in, let the arms sweep wide and up. And as you exhale, fold forward, come to Uttanasana. You can move those blocks out of the way. Breathe in, lengthen to flat back. Exhale, plant your hands and step back to down dog. And smooth, easy breath in and slow, smooth breath out. And breathe in, come forward to high plank and lower all the way onto your belly. Untuck the toes. Slide your hands back an inch or two so the thumbs are near those side ribs, near the chest. And gently start to push the hands into the floor, coming up into a small cobra. Good. Those of you that feel ready, you can also be in Sphinx. I saw a couple of you more in Sphinx pose if that feels supportive. If you're looking for a little deeper back bend, we've done some back bend work. You can start to lift the elbows into more of a high cobra. So find something that works for you. We're going to do a couple of variations. So lower down and then lift up again, and just do it a couple times and see if you like where your hands are at. You can try placing your hands a few different places, farther back towards your feet, farther forward, right? So you feel like, this is a nice supportive place that I can move into a spinal extension, and you feel like you have power from your arms. Yeah, good. Okay, so finding that place, let it be yours, and slowly start to lift the head, coming into that back bend, whatever amount. It's okay if you're just lifting a few degrees. And as you lift, turn your head to the right, look over your right shoulder as if you want to see your right heel, and you might be able to see your right heel. And then slowly lower down, point the nose towards the floor. On your next breath in, turn your head to the left. With your eyes, look over your left shoulder, see your left heel, or think as though you could. And gently lower back down. We'll do that one more time to each side. So inhaling, the belly can push a little bit towards the floor, turning the head to the right, looking over that right shoulder. Nice. Coming down. And last time, turning the head to the left. Good. And then lower down, stack your hands, forehead comes onto the hands. Let the inhale breath expand the belly. Relax the buttocks and sway or shimmy the pelvis a little bit side to side. Feel your tail wagging. Great. Exhale, press yourself back to your hands and your knees and back to child's pose. All right, so if anybody joined somewhat late, I had us grab a book or two, a heavy book or a couple of books, and we're going to use that in a moment. So you can find that, should be something nearby. This just has some weight to it. So you can come out of child's pose, swing your legs around to sit. You're going to want to grab your blanket. So you have your blanket and those books or that book nearby. We'll use them here shortly. Okay, and then just come onto your back. Let's do a nice simple figure 4 stretch. So cross your left ankle in front of the right thigh, pick up your right foot, hands come behind the right thigh, and gently draw the legs in. See if you can start to use your right leg to bring your left leg towards you a little bit more than even your arms. Good. Release your hands from behind the right thigh. Stand your right foot. Take a hold of your left foot for happy baby pose with the left leg. Widen the left knee. Good. Exhale. Stand the left foot back to the floor. Cross your right ankle onto your left thigh. Widen the right knee. And pick up the left foot. Bring the hands behind the left thigh. And pulling the legs in. And just feel at first how you use the arms. And once you get into the depth of the position, then see if you can use your left leg, press your left thigh into your right ankle, using the strength of the left leg so that maybe your arms can soften a little bit. Good. Exhale, release your left foot to the floor. Take a hold of your right ankle or right foot for happy baby pose with the right leg. Good. Exhale, let that release. All right, so you're going to take your blanket and drape your blanket over your belly. You don't need to really unfold it too much, but you want to have this softness on your belly. And you could grab anything you need for Shavasana right now. Eventually we're going to put the book or the weight on the belly. So if you like to have a little bolster underneath your legs, if you want to grab another blanket and make a bolster or put pillows or even your blocks underneath your thighs, grab your eye pillow, any such comforts that you appreciate. And then with the weight, and some of you, maybe your cat will just be your weight for you. That's always a lovely thing that can happen somewhat spontaneously, but we're going to make this happen with a book. So book or books, placing it on the belly, not so much on the ribs, not so much even on the pelvis. If the books are a little bit more on the lower belly, it might seem like it's pelvis, but you're thinking soft part of the belly. You just have a little extra weight there. And then let your arms relax to the floor. Let the eyes close. And feeling as you inhale, the diaphragm moves down, it spreads like a skirt towards the belly, and that creates that expansion, the fullness in the belly. And as you inhale, the diaphragm domes away from the pelvis. And the belly organs sink backward towards your spine, towards the floor. And you can think about the breath like water moving through sand. So that the breath is like fluid moving the tissues. Recognizing the breath very simply as sensation, expanding inhale, and the release of the exhale. Sense the weight of the pelvis. The legs quietly dropping back into the floor. Soften the brow. And you welcome the sensation of weight on the belly, The sensation of the wave of your breath, like water moving through sand. And then with great care, with great consideration, gently move the weight off of your belly. We'll stay in Shavasana for a bit. So just with great care, removing that weight. Breathing into the memory of the weight. Feeling where the weight once was. You can register that sensation. And recognize the whole body as sensation. Sensation of your mouth, your tongue, your eyes, and ears. The back of your head. Nothing to do or change. The sensation of the back of your shoulders and the width across your chest. And the wave-like movement of your breath. Like water finding its way, moving through sand. And maybe taking a few deeper breaths, feeling that movement in the belly. And if the weight is still on the belly, then with much care, you can move it to the side. And find some movement. You may roll the head a little bit. Find some movement in the limbs. Take as much time as you need. And coming up to a comfortable seat. Take the palms together. May you be free of inner and outer harm. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. And may you care for yourself with joy. And take a breath in. Exhale. Namaste. Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.